Greetings 4-Hers. Today we're going to do a club activity, and we, as you can see, have more people here than what we had at the last club activity. So first I'd like to have each person introduce themselves, starting to the right.
Hi, I'm Crystal Frank. I am Winona's daughter, and I'm also the public health nutritionist over at the Catawba Service Unit. And this is
Madison, and I am this person's granddaughter. I go to school.
And she is a 4-H club member.
Oh yeah.
And I'm Winona Hare, one of the 4-H directors.
And I'm Morgan Zelinski. I'm the Food Sovereignty Coordinator.
And the co-4-H director. Today we're going to do terrific tostadas. And what we would like to do first, before we start, is do our 4-H pledge. And I'm going to let Madison start it off, and we will go through with this.
I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my head to better living. For my club, my community, my country, and my world.
So for this week's club activity, we're actually going to be making a quick, easy, healthy meal for busy nights when we don't really have time to spend a lot of time working in the kitchen. So what I want to do is go over the ingredients that are involved in this recipe. First of all, we've got black beans that we're going to be using. Also garlic salt here. We're going to have chili powder, whole wheat tortillas here, olive oil, got that here, Monterey Jack cheese. Here are some other cheese that's agreeable to that, so maybe taco blend, something like that. Corn, frozen, grape tomatoes, avocado, lime, and some scallions here. And if you want to, you can have some cilantro as a garnishment when you finish the recipe. All of this is going to be provided in the boxes that you pick up so that you guys can do this activity.
Okay, in making the terrific tostada, there's several things you need to remember before you get started. One is gather all your ingredients together so that you don't have to run around. The second is read your recipe and then reread it. Once you add too much of something, it's really hard to pick it back out. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to add one 15-ounce can of black beans. Make sure you drain them. And it's a good idea to rinse them also. Would you like to state why you rinse the beans?
Yeah, so for one thing with beans, if you can, try to buy low sodium or no salt added beans. But if you can't, a good rule of thumb is just to rinse the beans to try to get at least about 1/3 of the salt out of there. But also with this recipe, there's going to be too much liquid in the recipe, and it would likely mess up our tortillas that we're going to be using, make them a little too soggy. So we want to rinse those ahead of time.
Now I'm going to let Madison add the garlic salt. We're going to be adding 1/2 teaspoon of garlic salt. Make sure it's a level teaspoon, not a heaping teaspoon. Then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of chili powder.
And while Madison's doing that, I wanted to go back to the beans and just let you guys know, beans are a really good source of fiber, which is great for both your heart and your digestive systems. Helps you go to the bathroom regularly, which is good. And it's also chocked full of protein, which is really good for our muscles as we're, running around and playing and growing. So these beans are a great thing to include in this recipe. Good job.
All right, so we've added 1/2 teaspoon of the garlic salt and 1 full teaspoon of the chili powder. Now I'm going to let Madison stir all this together as I put the ingredients away.
I didn't place it all the way.
Okay, right, the step 2 is to brush both sides of your tortilla shell. And we have 1 tablespoon of olive oil to do this. So Madison's going to help with this. Let's go ahead and just pour a little bit out and you spread it around. We'll do half on one side and half on the other.
And while she's doing that, so olive oil is a really good healthy fat for you. It's chock full of monounsaturated fats, which is a really good one for your heart. Just like we're just using about a tablespoon in this recipe, because it is a fat, we want to make sure we're not overdoing it. But fats are very good for us. They help keep our bodies warm. They help to cushion our organs. They help us to absorb our nutrients from our food. So we do want to include heart healthy fats where we can in our diet.
All right, now that that is done, thank you, Madison. You did a really good job. We're going to top with the cheese. And what we're going to put, the amount of cheese that we'll use in here is 4 ounces of this cheese. So we'll let Crystal take care of that for us. Crystal, how much is 4 ounces?
Well, it's about a half a cup. You can literally weigh it and measure it, but for our purposes, it will just say it's about a half a cup of cheese. So and we're just gonna put it on top of here.
Get it in the middle.
Just you want me to spread it all
Spread
the
it
way around?
all around. And y'all, you will have ingredients left over, and that's fine. Go ahead and make a different recipe on another day. All of this is healthy ingredients, so be creative.
All
Then we'll have Madison top all of that with our seasoned bean mixture that we just made. And because all of us have clean hands, and you should too before starting to cook, there are times you'll use your hands to make this correct, like if any little beans wanted to escape. We'll put them back on here and spread them out. There we go. Now that we've got that done, I'm gonna get a paper towel here, and we're gonna go ahead and put this in our preheated oven. And Crystal, how much was the oven preheated to?
475.
Okay. Now we're gonna put it in the oven. Always use your mitts. Use oven safety. Don't ever take the chance because ovens are hot.
Very hot.
And we'll close the door and 10 minutes. So if you have a timer at home, it's a good idea to set. The next step of a recipe, we're going to be combining the scallions that we've already cut up. And the cool thing about this recipe is if you don't like some, you don't have to put it in. Or if you want to put a little, you can. If you want to put a lot, go ahead. So Maddie, if you'll take the scallions and put in the bowl. And clean hands are essential. Obviously, if you're touching the food, you want your hands to be clean because nobody else wants to eat something that isn't. Then we're going ahead and add the tomatoes that are all cut up. Now, if you read in the instructions we gave you, there's a really cool way of cutting these little cherry tomatoes that I never knew in all these many years. And it'll tell you how to do it really fast and at one time. So just make sure you do read it. All right, now we're going to add lime juice. Would you like to say something about what the lime juice does with the vegetables?
Yeah, so once you put the lime juice in, you want to make sure you immediately put that avocado in, because the lime juice, the ascorbic acid in there, it actually will keep the avocado from browning. So it just makes your recipe look more pretty. It's not a taste issue. It's just it keeps the look of it nice. So once she squeezes that in there, we'll want to again add that avocado immediately upon cutting it into there so that it doesn't have a chance to brown on us.
Now you have to put a full avocado, and again, your sheet will tell you how to determine what's the right one and what's the not so right one. And we're gonna go ahead and let Maddie cut this, and I'm gonna help her with this. Knife safety is important. Those of you who have been in 4-H before know that you should be very careful with a knife. Let's go all the way around, Mad. All right. Wherever your cut was. Put my glasses on, that would help. And in your last club activity, Morgan, I do believe we have provided kid-friendly knives. So get that out. But even with a kid-friendly knife, don't take it for granted. Be careful. Now, this part, it did really well. And it separated for us. but sometimes they don't. So what you do is you take a knife and you sharply, and it comes out all at one time. All you do is go around the avocado really close to the shell. You see how I'm getting really close to the peeling? That's important. You could peel the peeling away, but another good way is to just do that, and then it pushes out on a really ripe one, which this one obviously isn't as ripe as we would like it. All right, Madison, if you'll turn this up and show them all the ingredients, the tomatoes, the scallions, and the cut up avocado are all put in there. Now she's gonna sit it down and mix it.
Two things about our avocado while she's mixing. So with the avocado, we were talking about them being ripe. So one way to know if they're ripe is give them a little bit of a soft squeeze at the grocery store or wherever you're at. And if they're firm, they're not ripe yet, and they probably won't taste as good. But you can still buy them. Just take them home, put them in a brown paper bag. They'll release a gas that will cause them to ripen a little bit faster, and usually over the period of 1 to 3 days.
Okay, now we're gonna add 4 cups of corn, which is pretty close to what this bag is. The good thing about this recipe, you don't have to be exact on your measurements. Again, if there's something you don't like as much of, then don't put as much of it. But in cooking class and in 4-H, the rule is what, Maddie?
If you don't have to like it, but you do have to try it.
So you don't have to like it, but you do have to try it. So just try a little bit. You might be surprised. You may end up really becoming a fan of a food you never thought you would like.
And with the corn, it is frozen, but you want to make sure you have it thawed before you add it in and mix it with the other ingredients.
All right, the final step is to add your corn and scallion and your avocado and your lime mixture. Now remember, this was supposed to be for 4 tortillas. So certainly don't add all of this onto one. We're just gonna add and cover and spread it out. And then the rest of the mixture, when you're making 4, this would be adequate to put on all 4. And that's completed recipe, and you have a terrific tostada with a lot of healthy ingredients, and it's really quick and simple to make. Crystal?
All right, so when we have our meal made, it's really great to be able to sit down with your family and have some good conversation. So Maddie's gonna help me with this, but in your packets you'll have, with the recipe, it'll give you a conversation starter that you can talk with your family and ask these questions. So the question in your packet is, what is your favorite activity as the weather is getting cooler?
Probably, I don't really know. Probably going to stay inside.
So she says staying inside. Now, also attached to that question, but it's the opposite, what's your least favorite part of the weather getting cooler?
The fact that it gets cold.
It gets cold and it's hard to be outside, is that
Yeah.
kind of what you're thinking? So what could we do to make it a little bit better? Think you could put on some coats and go run around and play?
Yeah.
Get some heat generated that way? Because we want to be active too, so it's really important to get outside even when the weather gets cooler. Don't use it as an excuse. Bundle up and just get out there and run all this good food off. Use all the good energy from it.